Hi, this is Kelcy Bremer, and this is my Module 5 presentation for Barriers to Web 2.0. In the article Barriers to Using Web 2.0 in 21st Century Schools, it speaks to the increased access that our students have at school and at home. Students in our building are accessing digital resources through one-to-one Chromebooks, interactive projectors, and high-speed Wi-Fi networks. At home, students are accessing those resources through the use of smartphones, gaming devices, and also their own tablets and notebook computers. One issue is the quality of access. In our building, I felt like we are continuously improving the quality of access that our students have. Since we have gone to one-to-one, we want to make sure that all students are able to connect regardless of how many are connected at a given time. However, at home, the quality of access is still an issue. We have no way of controlling who has access at home or what kind of access they have. If they're only able to access through a smartphone, is data an issue at some point? So these are issues that are affecting our students that the article addressed as well. At this time, the article suggests that there is no shown increase in test scores or instructional quality. Time, training, and administrative support are reasonings for teachers or that teachers give for how they're using technology or how much it is or is not being used in their classroom. Administrative supports play a huge role in this, and I believe as a future administrator that we can put a greater focus on how technology is being used to support instruction and if it's quality and effective use of technology. School culture, there's some risk involved to using innovative technology because you have to take a step out there. And is that risk worth it for classroom teachers? If they find success, how do they share that success? If it's a failure, then how did it impact students and what are the repercussions of that? There's the issue of the digital divide. We are putting devices in our students' hands before, during, and after school through our one-to-one initiative. But again, access at home can be limited, and then the digital divide still exists. And something that important that I noted from this article was the use of those drill and kill exercises as opposed to exposing students to real-world applications. How are teachers using it? If it's just drill exercises every day throughout the day, then we're not going to see an increase in test scores or instructional quality. I'm a big believer in conceptual knowledge versus procedural knowledge, and oftentimes those drill exercises are just that procedural knowledge over and over and over again, trying to drill it into our students, where we really need to develop the conceptual knowledge so that they understand what we're asking them to do. And then our students using access for watching videos or gaming, or are they using it to gain information? If we're putting devices in our students' hands and they're going home and watching YouTube videos or playing Fortnite or Minecraft, are we really having the impact that we want to have? And then safety is another issue that comes up in this article. We have filters, we have ad blockers, but are we informing students of copyright laws, how to protect themselves from cyber theft and identity theft, and what good are those filters when students take their devices home and connect at home? They're still using a school-issued device and likely their own school email address or account to access material that we have no control over. In the article, 7 common barriers that obstruct tech adoption in education, a lack of vision is addressed, what's driving change, what's guiding teachers. In our district, it's the one-to-one initiative, having access to interactive technology such as interactive projectors and having quality wireless access. But why do we have those things, and how are we using them? I do think we have we are lacking vision. What ultimately do we want to impact student learning? That's something that, as a future administrator, I need to work through, or I want to work through with my staff, so that we all understand the importance and the impact that this can have on student learning and instruction. We need to consider changing the teacher's role. We can't just be the regurgitator of information. Students can get information online and from a multitude of topics and resources that we can't provide them with. And are we moving towards project or inquiry-based learning, or is direct instruction still the focus and the primary way that students are receiving information? The achievement gap, again, the drill and practice at school, it's not, I don't believe it's going to get the results that that are worth the time students are spending on it. Are teachers and students knowledgeable? Do they have the experience needed to use the new tools and devices that we're putting in our hands, in their hands? And what is access at home, and what impact can we have on that? When a teacher does find success with an innovative technology, how are we sharing that system-wide so that it can impact the whole system? And just what system do we have in place to share those ideas with each other, so we're not each operating as an island? We need to think beyond our textbooks. We've experienced this in our district, where we were ready to adopt a math curriculum, and we didn't feel that any of the publishers were where we needed them to be, and we didn't want to make the investment in an expensive product that wasn't what we needed. And one of the options was that teachers were going to have to develop their own math curriculum for an entire school year within a summer. And this was a great concern for teachers. And then just having a strong infrastructure. I've mentioned that we are continuously taking steps to improve our connectivity. We have started receiving some professional development, but this is still an area that we need to grow and improve in. And then we have a supportive tech person, but there's just one. And he tries to get to our classrooms and help us with issues as quickly as he can, but he's covering multiple buildings and has multiple responsibilities. And so sometimes there is wait time involved, and that impacts how technology is being used in our classrooms. The digital divide, a quarter of the nation is without broadband, speaks to how geography plays a role in who has access and who doesn't, and what kind of access they have. Being in a rural community, we do have low SES families that just don't have access at home. And if they do, it's very limited access, or they rely on data plans through their smartphones to connect. And this can affect how much, how often, and how long they have access. There's still a patchwork of programs. Our community has a cable company that provides wireless internet, but it is expensive, and even middle-class families feel the impact of that expense in our town. So a lot of our lower-income families simply can't afford wireless in their homes. This article made a valid point that even if you can boast one-to-one like our district can, the learning stops at the classroom door if students can't access digital resources when they get home. And I believe that that's what's happening to many of our students. We've taken steps to help with this before and after school, but ultimately once they get home, that access is out of our control. And as I mentioned, using smartphones as a substitute for computers and tablets, limited data comes into play when this is how students are accessing resources at home. For open educational resources, historically, these have been supplemental to fill in the holes that teachers find in their core content, but there has been an increase in openly licensed resources that cover a multitude of subjects and grade levels and have increased coherence. So they're connected from one grade to the next. So there's that vertical alignment and horizontal alignment that teachers need to be able to show so that they know they're meeting their standards and sending their kids to the next grade level, knowing the content that they're expected to know. The question was if districts were willing to leave commercial texts. And in our district, when we were ready to adopt a new math curriculum, we felt like publishers were telling us that they had made the changes necessary and aligned with Common Core math standards. But we found when comparing the previous product with what they were claiming was aligned, that they weren't quite as ready as they had said. Teachers were asked if we wanted to create our own math curriculum for the year or find something out there that was available. Some teachers stumbled across Eureka Math, which is also known as Engage New York, and it is an open educational resource. At the time, we could download it for free. It's still free to download, and we just printed our own modules and student pages and homework. Since then, our staff or our district has purchased printed materials, but that's really the only cost other than if they choose to send teachers to professional development opportunities such as regional conferences. But through adopting this type of math curriculum, it saved the district a great cost. We've found value in this resource. We feel that it's meeting the needs of our students. And so it has been beneficial to us to not have to jump into buying a commercial product that ultimately we didn't feel was what we wanted for our students. In the video, Angela McFarlane, ICT Adoption Barriers, she asks if it's worth the investment. She speaks to how teachers feel that they have to invest a lot of time and energy. They're more willing to do so at the primary levels, she says, because of the time that they spend with their students. They see them as their students, where in secondary schools, students move frequently from classroom to classroom and aren't part of a single classroom or necessarily have a homeroom where that teacher feels that they have a greater impact on that set of students. She points out that size impacts the investment that we make with technology for primary versus secondary. She states that primary schools by nature are smaller than secondary schools. However, in our district, that's not the case. Our pre-K through 6th grade is quite a bit larger than our junior high, senior high with 7th through 12th grade. However, we are still managing to put technology in all of our students' hands despite their size. And then she also speaks to the climate and culture of the school and the risk that teachers feel by stepping out there and trying something innovative, and the repercussions that they feel if that risk doesn't pay off. To answer the question if I feel the digital divide can be resolved, I'm hopeful that I can help take steps in resolving that issue, but due to access at home, I feel like that part will never truly be resolved until we can find ways as a community to make that happen for all families. We are taking great strides in putting technology into our students' hands during the school day, as well as before and after. We have our one-to-one initiative. We're installing interactive technology. We've started to provide some professional development support for teachers, but I do still feel like we need to evaluate how we're using technology in the classroom, if it's truly meaningful and effective, or if many of our teachers are still relying on drill and practice activities. The skill sets that I feel students need to acquire before graduation, first and foremost, it's internet safety and digital citizenship. Social network addiction is just an issue that we have to deal with now. For students very young, in our building, fourth graders are coming to school reporting cyberbullying, and we need to be teaching them how to handle those situations. We also need to prepare them for how to prevent themselves from being victims of identity theft, cyber theft, and just that they need to be cautious of what they're posting and how that can affect them later in life. Students should be knowledgeable and confident in using a variety of technology in a variety of settings, because I think that later in life it's going to be hard for them to find a job where technology doesn't exist in some form. And then finally, I think that it's important to teach students how to network and then find information, but more importantly, determine if that is valid, valuable information. And they also need to be able to share information globally. The impact that the global economy has had on my own personal use, I did experience that decline in access to current technologies when we were experiencing budget cuts as a state. It put a freeze on all spending, and so we weren't keeping up with innovation at that time. However, in recent years, we have made great efforts as a district to get caught back up and put innovative technology in our students' and teachers' hands. Previously, the district I was in had greater funds, so we had smart boards in every classroom. All classrooms got them at the same time. It wasn't a slow integration like what my district is currently experiencing with the interactive projectors. When I came to my district, we were sharing a class set of iPads across multiple classrooms. We then moved to each classroom having its own set of iPads, and now we are at one-to-one Chromebooks and those interactive projectors. So I've seen the impact that the economy and being back in an okay place right now has had on how I'm able to use technology in my classroom. The training that I still need to effectively integrate technology in my current position is more time. We recently had a PD on GoGuardian and how we can manage and monitor how our students are using their internet access, their devices in our classroom. And I just need more time with that to become knowledgeable and confident in using it. I would like to seek out additional professional development on digital resources that can impact my core instruction that aren't just drill and practice. I think that that's one of the major takeaways I got from the reading material for this assignment. I do think that we're relying too heavily on that and not real life applications that are impacting critical thinking and problem solving skills. And then I also find value in learning from others who are using technology in new and innovative ways. I know there are teachers in my building that I could learn from who are using something other than what I'm using in my room. The equipment, how we're equipped with 21st century technology, as I mentioned, are one-to-one Chromebooks. Pre-K is using touchscreen Chromebooks. And kindergarten through second grade students sign in using QR codes that take them to a platform which has all of the programs that they need access to, and they're already logged into those programs. So it's just a click and go, which saves on lost instructional time. Third through high school students log in using their school email account, and many of them are participating in Google Classrooms. Pre-K, our pre-K classroom and all three kindergarten classrooms have interactive projectors, and that the plan is to expand that through second grade in future years. And then our junior, senior high has recently acquired Wi-Fi for 4 buses. 2 buses have that permanently installed, and 2 are mobile so that we can put them on activity buses as needed. We also have traveling tutors that ride bus routes with the Wi-Fi available before and after school so that students who are spending long amounts of time on buses before and after school have support and can use their device to work on homework. and have somebody there to help them. The advantages of innovative practices in schools. As a future administrator, I believe that our students will be able to compete globally once they leave us. Whether they go to post-secondary school, enter the workforce or military, the amount of technology and the quality that they have been exposed to and skills they have developed will contribute to greater success later in life. I think that they have greater access to information and ideas than we can provide them alone. And the access to these things, such as coding for a student who excels in math, could push them down a path that they otherwise wouldn't have experienced. And I think that could come into play later in life as they find success in their own career path. The disadvantages, safety is at the top of my list. GoGuardian, I believe, will be one way that I can monitor that. I'm interested to see how I can use it as a classroom teacher, but also how I would use it as a building administrator to ensure the safety and appropriate use of technology for all students. But if we're putting devices in our students' hands when they go home and they're accessing content at home, some of that is out of our control. So despite filters and everything else we can apply, so we need to be aware of safety and how students are using the technology that we're providing to them. And then another concern is just how and how much technology is being used by staff with students. Is it effective, appropriate, and consistent? How can I monitor that as a future administrator? And how can I ensure that it is all of those things as a classroom teacher at this time? I've mentioned the real world examples and situations versus drill and practice. And how can I make sure that teachers are using deeper level thinking with technology? And then any issues that I've experienced with cyberbullying or inappropriate internet use. Cyberbullying has only been through my role as our building bully prevention chair. I'm responsible for checking a lockbox that has incident reports that students have completed to report bullying. And oftentimes, especially in 4th through 6th grade, students are reporting cyberbullying. The issue is that this is often happening through social media, like Facebook or Snapchat at home, and then that issue is following them to school the next day. We have to respond to the issue because it's affecting them at school, but what's happening at home is oftentimes not something we can control if parents are allowing them to have access to those networks. And then I've heard of students having explicit content on their computers in the upper grades, but this hasn't been an issue that I have dealt with personally in kindergarten. As a future administrator, I need to know how to deal with these issues, the cyberbullying and explicit content, what our policies are, and how to monitor and manage those issues. That's it for my Web 2.0 presentation. I just included the links to our reading material for this assignment. Thank you.